Let me out a block away. Don't want to be seen getting out of your car, she said as we approached her friend's party. I pulled over right there and said, get out. She laughed, called me dramatic, and went to the party. I drove home, packed my things, and left a note. Hope your friends give you better rides. She came home in the morning, drunk and happy. Found the empty closet and called me crying. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. The funny thing about red flags is they're only visible in hindsight. At the time, you just think you're looking at a flag. For 3 years with Chloe, I saw a lot of flags. I polished the poles, admired the fabric, told myself the colors were vibrant. My final act of polishing happened the Thursday before the party. I'd picked up 4 consecutive weekend shifts at the warehouse. Back aching, monotonous work that paid time and a half. The extra $1,000 wasn't for a new gaming console or a trip. It was to cover Chloe's half of the rent for 2 months while she networked and figured out her influencer dream. I didn't mind. That's what you do. You build a runway for the person you love to take off. That Thursday, she was having her girls over for pre-party planning. Her friends, Maya, the aspiring publicist, and Jess, who funded her life through a confusing series of brand partnerships, treated our apartment like a lounge they occasionally graced with their presence. I spent my day off cleaning. I scrubbed the bathroom, vacuumed the rug she said trapped bad energy, and arranged the fancy cheese plate she'd requested from the overpriced market. They arrived in a cloud of expensive perfume and loud gossip. I got a collective hey before they beelined for the wine. Babe, we need privacy for, like, creative flow, Chloe said, shooing me toward our bedroom with a kiss on the cheek that felt like a dismissal. You don't mind, right? I minded the way Maya's eyes scanned our living room, a slight smirk on her face, as if filing away its imperfections for later. I minded that Jess immediately put her feet on the coffee table. I'd refinished myself. But I smiled. No problem. I'll be in here. From behind the closed door, I heard the laughter, the planning, the critique of other people's outfits, other people's lives. Chloe's voice was the loudest, a performance of confidence for her audience. A few hours later, they left. I emerged to a war zone. Empty wine glasses with lipstick smears, crumbs ground into the rug, the cheese plate a sad graveyard of rinds. No, thanks for cleaning. No, see you later, man. Just the echo of their judgment and the mess they left for me, the invisible stagehand. Saturday arrived. The night of the summer rooftop soiree at Maya's cousin's building. Chloe had been vibrating with anticipation all week. She emerged from the bedroom in an outfit I'd never seen before, a tiny, sparkling dress that looked like it cost more than our monthly grocery budget. Her makeup was sharper, her hair perfectly chaotic. You look amazing, I said, the words feeling inadequate. Maya helped me pick it out. It's very elevated, she said, not looking at me as she scrolled through her phone. You ready? We can't be late. The golden hour photos are key. The ride over was conducted in the glow of her screen. She was in a group chat titled Swar Squad. Maya, is he driving you? LOL. Chloe, unfortunately. His Prius is a vibe killer, but Uber surge is insane. Jess, just have him drop you off around the corner. We'll be on the roof. You won't have to walk far. I kept my eyes on the road, my knuckles white on the steering wheel. The vibe killer. The rolling symbol of my inadequacy. We entered the trendy, gentrified part of town. The streets were lined with clubs and bars pulsing with bass. Her friend's messages kept pinging. Okay, Chloe said, finally looking up. She pointed ahead. Just up here. Let me out a block away. Don't want to be seen getting out of your car. The words hung in the air, mingling with the faint smell of her perfume. They weren't delivered with malice, but with a casual, matter-of-factness that was infinitely worse. It was simply the operational procedure. Hide the unsightly vehicle. Maintain the illusion. A coldness washed over me, starting in my chest and spreading to my fingertips. It wasn't anger. It was a profound, glacial clarity. This wasn't a joke. This wasn't pre-party nerves. This was her truth. I was the embarrassment to be discreetly unloaded before she entered her real life. I didn't argue. I didn't ask what she meant. I just signaled, pulled the car to the curb right there, not a block away, right there, and put it in park. The engine idled softly. She looked at me, confused by the unscheduled stop. What are you doing? I said a block up. I turned my head and looked at her. Really looked at her. The woman I'd built a runway for. The woman for whom I'd become a maid, a financier, and now a chauffeur to be hidden. I felt nothing but that clean, sharp cold. Get out, I said. My voice was flat, calm, final. She blinked. Then she laughed. It was a short, brittle sound, meant to dismiss and diminish. Oh my God, are you serious? Don't be so dramatic. It's not a big deal. It's just parking. She rolled her eyes, a practiced gesture. I'll get an Uber home later. Don't wait up. She popped the door handle, slid out, and slammed the door without a backward glance. I watched her in the rearview mirror, the sparkling dress catching the streetlights as she hurried down the sidewalk, pulling out her phone to announce her imminent, unencumbered arrival to the squad. I sat for a full minute, the cold inside me hardening into a diamond of resolve. Then, I shifted the car into drive, merged into the traffic, and pointed the vibe killer toward home. The silence was no longer empty. It was full of a single, decisive thought. I'm done. The drive home was conducted in perfect silence. Not the tense, waiting for a fight silence we'd had sometimes, but a deep, ringing quiet. The city lights blurred past the windows of my vibe killer, which suddenly felt like the most honest, reliable thing in my life. It got 52 miles to the gallon. It never asked me to hide it. The cold clarity that had taken root in my chest expanded, freezing out any last traces of hurt or confusion. What was left was a simple, algorithmic to-do list. I parked in my usual spot. Our apartment, on the third floor, looked down on the lot. I sat for a moment, watching the light in our living room window, the one I'd left on for her. A habitual, caring gesture from a man who no longer existed. I turned it off in my mind. Inside, the ghost of the pre-party still lingered, a wine glass by the sink, a smear of glitter on the hallway floor. I stepped over it. I went to the closet and pulled out my old gym duffel and the 2 large suitcases stored on the high shelf. I didn't start with rage. I started with socks. I packed like a surgeon removing a foreign object. My things. Only my things. The books on my nightstand. The framed photo of my parents and me at the lake, a weekend she'd called quaint. My toolbox, because I was the one who fixed things. I left the fancy espresso maker she'd wanted but never learned to use. I took the chipped ceramic mug my little brother made me in 7th grade. The closet was the starkest division. My side, simple t-shirts, jeans, a couple of button-downs. Her side, an explosion of fabrics, colors, tags she often left on for the aesthetic. I emptied my side into a suitcase. The empty rod on my half looked like a missing tooth. I left every hanger. I didn't throw her things. I didn't write an angry screed. The emotion had been burned away, leaving only purpose. In the bathroom, I scooped my razor, my deodorant, the cheap shampoo I liked, into a bag. I left the basket overflowing with her serums, masks, and exfoliants. The apartment began to echo. The final item was the note. I stood at the kitchen counter, the same spot where I'd packed her cheese plate. A single sheet of printer paper. A pen. What do you say to someone who found you an embarrassment? You state the consequence, not the pain. I wrote 5 words. They weren't clever or particularly cutting. They were just the factual, logistical follow-up to her request. Hope your friends give you better rides. I didn't sign it. My name would have been a concession, a connection. I placed it squarely on the kitchen island, where she'd see it when she came in for water. I did one last walkthrough. The living room, where I'd listened to her laugh behind a closed door. The bedroom, now half empty. It didn't feel like leaving home. It felt like exiting a museum exhibit about a life I'd mistakenly thought was mine. I loaded the Prius. It sat lower on its suspension. The vibe killer was now the freedom vehicle. I took my key off the ring, leaving only my car key. I locked the door from the inside, pulled it shut, and slid my key under the doormat. A part of me, the old part, whispered that this was extreme, that we should talk. I silenced it. She'd been clear. The block-away drop-off was the talk. This was the answer. I drove to a 24-hour diner on the other side of the city. I ordered a coffee I didn't drink and found a furnished sublet online from a guy on a 6-month work assignment. It was overpriced and bland, but it was available immediately and required no lease. I sent a deposit from the rent help fund I'd created for her. The irony was crisp and satisfying. By 3 a.m., I was in a beige box of an apartment with my suitcases lined against the wall. I put my chipped mug on the counter. I texted my warehouse foreman that I was available for any extra shifts starting now. Then I powered off my phone. The silence in the new place wasn't empty. It was full of potential. I slept a deep, dreamless sleep for the first time in months. My phone, when I turned it on at 7 a.m., was a testament to the arc of her night. 1:47 a.m., a text. Hey, still up? Party was lit. Maya's cousin knows someone who works at Vogue. Tell you later. A photo followed. Her and her friends, faces flushed, rooftop lights in the background. She looked triumphant. I felt nothing. I swiped it away. 3:22 a.m., a missed call. No voicemail. 6:15 a.m., the voicemail notification blinked. I plugged in my earbuds, made a fresh coffee in my brother's mug, and pressed play as I looked out the window of my beige box at a new, unfamiliar street. Her voice was a journey. It started blurred, happy, slightly annoyed. Hey babe, just got home. Uber was, like, $80. Can you believe that? Crazy. A pause, the sound of keys fumbling. Where are you? Out getting breakfast? You're sweet. The audio bumped and rustled. Then, a new tone. A sliver of confusion seeping through the alcohol. Hello? Why is your side of the closet is empty? The rustling got faster. Drawers opening. What the? Your drawers are empty. Your toolbox is gone. This isn't funny. Her voice tightened, the happiness evaporating. The next words were sharp, panicked. Where are you? Call me back. Right now? This isn't funny, James. A choked sound. A sob, raw and startled. Please. The message ended. I deleted it. I went into my settings and blocked her number. The action felt clean, like applying a bandage to a wound that had already scarred over. The silence lasted for about 20 minutes. Then, my phone rang with a local number I didn't recognize. I knew. I let it go to voicemail. 2 minutes later, it rang again. Same number. The third time, I answered. I said nothing. James. Finally, her voice was a ragged wire, stripped of its usual performative cool. What the hell is going on? Where are you? I'm standing in the middle of the apartment, and all your stuff is gone. I'm gone, I said, my voice flat. The note explained it. The note? That stupid, petty note? Hope your friends give you better rides. Are you kidding me? Because of last night? You're overreacting. I was just joking around. You weren't joking. I kept my tone even, factual. You were ashamed of my car. And by extension, of me. You stated a preference. I'm respecting it. It was a joke, she screamed, the sound cracking. I could hear her pacing. God, you're so sensitive. You know how Maya and Jess are. I was just playing along. You weren't playing along in the group chat? I said calmly. I hadn't seen it, but I knew. The logic was inevitable. You were leading the charge. The vibe killer, right? A dead silence on her end. I'd guessed correctly. The confirmation was colder than any anger. So that's it, she whispered, her voice crumbling. 3 years, and you just run away in the night over a stupid comment? You're a coward. A real man would have talked to me. The insult bounced off the glacial front inside me. A real man doesn't beg for basic respect from his girlfriend, Chloe. He just stops providing it when it's clear it's not reciprocated. Get an Uber from your friends next time. Don't call this number again. I ended the call. I blocked that number too. I sat back, sipped my coffee, and opened a job search website on my laptop. The din of her unraveling was a distant sound, like traffic from another street. It had nothing to do with me anymore. My runway was clear, and for the first time, it was pointed toward a horizon of my own choosing. The blocks created a dam, and the desperation built up behind it, finding cracks in other surfaces. It started with emails. The first, 2 days after the final call, was titled, I'm sorry. James, I've read your note 100 times. It's not funny anymore. I get it. I was awful. It was a shallow, stupid thing to say, and I didn't mean it. I was trying to impress people who aren't even worth it. Maya and Jess have been asking me what happened, and I'm so humiliated. Please just come home. We can talk. I love you. Chloe. I archived it. Not deleted. Archived. A curator preserving an artifact of a bygone era. A week later, a second email arrived. The subject line was just a crying emoji. James, I can't do this. The apartment is so empty. I can't afford it on my own. The landlord said, if I can't find a replacement for your half of the lease by the end of the month, I'll have to break it and pay a huge fee. I don't have that. My friends said I can crash for a few days, but it's awkward. Maya's cousin made a joke about ditching the chauffeur. It's not fair. You're really going to make me lose our home over one comment? After 3 years? This is cruel. Please call me. Chloe. The shift was clear, from apology to accusation. My response, or lack thereof, was now the source of her problems. I archived this one too. The social media attempt was more creative. A follow request on Instagram from an account named Sunset Serenity 22, with a blurry picture of a beach. I declined and blocked it. An hour later, a DM slipped through from a different account. This one blank. Running away is what cowards do. A real man would have stayed and fought for us. I didn't even bother reading the whole thing before blocking. The true measure of her downfall came through the final voicemail, left on a Saturday morning from yet another new number. I saved this one. It was a masterpiece of unraveling. Her voice was stripped raw, husky from crying. The performance was completely gone. They're not my friends. A shaky breath. Maya said I'm bad energy now, that I'm bringing down the vibe because I'm sad all the time. Jess asked me to pay her back for the Uber that night and for the drinks, said I was acting like a charity case. A wet, ragged sob. They were never my real friends. You were. You were the only real thing I had. And I was such an idiot. I traded you for glitter and roof access. There was a long pause. I could hear traffic in the background. She wasn't at home. I tried to see someone else. To move on. This guy from the party. He seemed so cool. He used me for a night and ghosted me. Told his friends I was clingy. Her voice dropped to a whisper, utterly broken. I'm living out of a suitcase at my sister's. She's mad at me too. I have no money. I have no one. I see your empty closet in my head every night. Please. I'll do anything. I'll sell the dress. I'll never see them again. I'll get a normal job. Just please. I'm so alone. I don't know who I am without you. The message clicked off. I listened to it once. I felt no pity. No schadenfreude. Just a distant, clinical recognition that every consequence she described was a direct, logical outcome of her own choices. She'd chosen a facade over substance, and now she was left holding the empty, glittery mask. I didn't archive it. I hit delete. The sound of her destruction was not a record I needed to keep. 6 months is a long time in a life you're actually building. The beige sublet was gone. I'd moved into a clean, modern one-bedroom with a view of the river, paid for by the promotion to shift supervisor I'd gotten at the warehouse. The extra hustle had turned into respect, then opportunity. My Prius was still in the lot, freshly washed. I'd saved enough for a down payment on a small, tidy house. I was closing next month. The invitation to my cousin Danny's wedding was a surprise. We'd been close as kids, but drifted apart during the Chloe years. She'd found family events boring. I bought a new suit, a charcoal gray one that fit me properly. The wedding was at a botanical garden. It was full of genuine laughter and warm light, a world away from rooftop soirees. I was at the bar, waiting for a gin and tonic, feeling a quiet, settled happiness. I'd been talking with Danny's friends, people who asked about my job and listened to the answers. That's when I saw her. She was at the edge of the reception, near the restrooms, looking washed out and uncertain in a dress that was trying too hard. She was with Maya, who was scanning the crowd with a predatory focus. They must have been guests of a guest, plus ones clinging to the periphery. Chloe's eyes swept the room and locked onto me. I saw the journey on her face. Shock first, then a flicker of the old, practiced hope, the look she'd use when she wanted something. It melted into a stunned realization as she took in the suit, my posture, the easy way I was standing alone at the bar, completely at peace. Finally, a raw, naked devastation. She whispered something to Maya, who glanced at me, smirked, and promptly walked away, leaving Chloe alone. She hovered for 10 minutes, gathering courage. I collected my drink and found a quiet spot near a bubbling stone fountain. She approached like someone walking onto thin ice. Hi, James. I turned. Chloe. Hello. My voice was the same as when I'd greeted the caterer earlier, polite, detached. You look really good. She was wringing her hands, a nervous habit she'd never had before. Thank you. It's a nice wedding. A painful silence. The sounds of joy from the dance floor mocked it. I got your note, she said, as if it had just arrived. I know. I'm in therapy now, she blurted out. Her eyes were wide, pleading. What I did, What I said, it was awful. I'm dealing with a lot of my own insecurities. That person who wanted you to drop her off a block away, that wasn't the real me. I took a slow sip of my drink, the ice clinking. I looked at her, not through her, for the first time since that night. I saw the fragility, the regret, the exhausting effort to rebuild a shattered self-image. And I felt absolutely nothing. I know. I said again, my tone final. The real you is the one who made the choice. The insecure one, the performing one, the cruel one, they're all you. I just only had to deal with one of them. I prefer the clarity. She flinched as if slapped. The tears started, but they were no longer weapons that could reach me. Can we? God, can we ever just have coffee? Talk. I need closure. This is killing me. At that moment, Lisa, a woman I'd been seeing for a few months, found me. She was a landscape architect, smart, kind, with a laugh that didn't sound like a performance. She slipped her hand into mine, her touch warm and sure. There you are. They're about to do the bouquet toss. It's a whole thing. Oh, hi, she said, smiling warmly at Chloe. Chloe stared at our joined hands. Her face completely emptied. It was the final, silent confirmation of a world that had moved on without her. I looked from Lisa's smiling face back to Chloe's shattered one. I gave Lisa's hand a gentle squeeze. There's nothing to close, Chloe, I said, my voice quiet but absolute in its certainty. My life is full. I genuinely hope you find peace, but you'll need to find it somewhere else. I turned to Lisa, my entire focus shifting. A bouquet toss? Lead the way. We walked back toward the lights and the music. I didn't look back. I knew she was still standing by the fountain, a statue of her own regrets. But her shadow no longer fell on my path. The road ahead was clear, bright, and entirely my own. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.